Incoming transfers coming into the Big Ten Conference in football. There is no team with more new talent on the way joining up with their ball club than the Purdue Boilermakers. 29 incoming transfers joining up with Boilermakers football. And you see some of the other teams on the list. A little bit of a roster shakeup is not necessarily all that unfamiliar, but we know that Purdue is going to be one of these squads that's going to have a new look in a wide variety of ways, and chief amongst those is at head coach. Barry Odom, now the head coach of Purdue football, our guest here on Big Ten Today. Coach, appreciate you taking the time to join us here. And you know, I tell folks pretty frequently that from my time playing Big Ten football at Iowa, there's not a more intimidating place in the conference when it's rocking than Ross-Ade Stadium. It's really an underrated atmosphere for Big Ten football. And you've gotten to experience it before yourself, have you not?
Great to see you. Thanks for having me on today. A few years ago, 2018, I was a head coach at the University of Missouri, and we had a night game, non-conference, obviously, that we came up here and played. And it was a great game, and back and forth all night. But when you pull up to the stadium, you could feel it on the drive to the stadium. And then you get close, turn around the corner and get on campus, and the explosion of tailgating and the feel, the smells, the sights, the sounds. One of the unique places that I've had an opportunity to coach as a visiting coach during that time. And then, you look at now being on campus for 2 months, and there's not a basketball arena environment that matches what we have at Purdue. And it's all based around the people and the enthusiasm for our program and our university. And I understand, the opportunity to capture that and turn Ross-Ade back into a great home field advantage. And we've certainly got a lot of work to do in front of us. We're excited about that, but we're going to turn this into a hard place for people to come in and play. And, we've got to do our job as coaches. We've got to get a team in position to play winning ball. And I know I can feel it every day, the passion and the support and the energy that makes up this great university and this state that will become a great home field for us.
And some of that work that you mentioned being prepared to embark on involves recruiting. And of course, yesterday was National Signing Day. And from a high school perspective, you certainly haven't had much of an opportunity to assemble, the recruits that you got within this first cycle. How would you sort of evaluate what you were able to get done with this very first class you bring to Purdue?
Number one, I think our assistant coaches did a great job once they hit the ground running here, whether they were coaching in bowl games or whatever it was, before that we could get them assembled together on campus. We signed 40 kids, 40 student athletes that will join our program, 29 of them transfers, and then 11 high school kids. Out of that 40, 35 are with us right now. They were mid-year enrollees. So that's a great number for us to add to what the foundation is of the program here. There's roster movement. We understand that. We made some great additions. I think it's even more in our favor that 35 of the 40 are already here going through workouts. Now we're into week 4 of our winter conditioning program. And then pretty soon we'll transition into the Winning Edge program that we do for a couple of weeks before spring ball starts. And then the first week of March, we're going to get started with spring practice. So, the time doesn't wait on anybody, right? It's a sprint with no finish line. The understanding of trying to get our team in position physically and mentally to be ready for spring practice. And then the challenge of every single day an opportunity moving our program forward systematically in the approach of fundamental football, on playing complementary ball, and putting the schemes together, on finding out what your team can do athletically, and then building the schematics around that. It's a fun process. Our assistant coaches have done a great job on putting their stamp on what we think is going to put us in position to go have a successful spring ball, and then that leads into summer ball and then fall camp. So it'll be here fast. The first 2 months that I've been here, it's been wonderful. The outpouring of people and support is tremendous. The alignment of our president, athletics director, and all the things that we've got going on within the program, we're getting things moving in the right direction in a very fast manner.
A pretty significant portion of the transfers that are joining you in West Life are players who played for you and had success at UNLV. How quickly did you make that decision? That was a part of the process that you'd be comfortable with in bringing guys from out in Las Vegas with you to West Lafayette.
Yeah, I think, it's a delicate thing to maneuver and navigate through because of the respect of the place you're coming from. Also the relationship, the personal relationship that you have with all those guys that you recruited. You're coming off an 11-win season. There's some guys from that team that are going to have great success in the NFL. They're in the classroom and socially, but on the field, on building this program back to where Purdue football needs to be. And I think there's a lot of value in a number of thoughts that go into bringing guys in a transfer market or portal class. Some of those familiar backgrounds that I've got with those guys, whether I coached at Arkansas or recruited there previous to UNLV, or the guys that I recruited there, was able to coach for the last 2 seasons. They understand culturally, the expectation and the standard, and we're setting that as an assistant coaches and myself, but also, that it's a strong vibe when you can get those voices in the locker room, that they know what a Monday practice looks like. They know what punt net drill already looks like and the standard of what that needs to be. Those voices that our guys can create in the locker room when we're not around, that's so important for us to get done.
And one of the high school recruits you brought in, the quarterback in this recruiting cycle, you of course know very well. Your son Garrett is going to join you there with the Purdue Boilermakers after previously committing to you at UNLV. And he had his bevy of offers and opportunities to go to a variety of schools, a high-level recruit. But what's it going to be like? I've got a 7-year-old son, so I don't have to worry about coaching him anytime soon. But what's it like for you in preparing to coach your son in major college football?
It's exciting for us as a family. I'm harder on him than anyone in the building, unfortunately for him. We had a chance at UNLV. My wife and I's oldest son was a linebacker for us, and played 2 years, so that was enjoyable. I never, growing up when they were little kids and starting into sport, whether it was baseball or basketball or football, I never had the opportunity to coach them. This is a very poor excuse, but I didn't have time. Either I was the head coach at Missouri or defensive coordinator there at Arkansas. So it's something that's hard to express my thankfulness and gratitude to having the opportunity to do that. He's going to have to earn it, whatever it is, and every single day, and probably a little bit more because we share the same last name. But fortunately, I won that recruiting battle, and it's going to be a lot of fun over the next 4 to 5 years on what that looks like for him. And then for us as a program, I'm certainly excited about our future.
And speaking of winning, you won 19 games over 2 seasons at UNLV. I mean, it's not a level of success that football program had seen very much over the years. And the previous 5 seasons, the program had only won 20 games. So those 2 years, you had immense success with the Rebels. How much of that do you think can sort of transition effectively to what you'll plan on doing at Purdue?
Well, you look at, every program's different. Every circumstance and situation is different. There are a lot of philosophies that I learned from Gary Pinkel for years and years and years working for him at the University of Missouri on structurally how to run an organization. And it all starts with people. And you've got to be in a position to recruit the right skill set to be able to effectively do those things day in and day out. But I think systematically, there's a number of things that we did at Mizzou working for Coach that I was able to do somewhat as a head coach. And then, specifically what we did at UNLV, I think we've got a foundational approach on what it looks like on the building of a program. And then the fast track on getting everyone in the building galvanized and aligned to go have success. And it takes every single person in our building and every single person in our organization to do their job at a very high level. And then the ability to get guys in position to play winning ball, getting them in the right spots. And then, motivating them in a way that allows for success and getting the most out of them. So it's a process that does take time, but we understand nobody is in a position that wants to hear the word rebuild. We're not into that. We're into winning now, and winning big. And I think as soon as we get that standard and the expectation of what it looks like every single day, then the wins are going to follow.
And I understand there's a couple of position groups. No surprise, programs tend to go through this going through spring football where you're a little thin in certain spots. And so for your first spring leading Purdue football, then how do you go about trying to balance the desire to compete and for guys to earn their spots with recognizing that, you know what, not everyone's necessarily healthy or even on the roster as of yet?
Well, we've got an opportunity, and this is one thing that we've always done in this program. It doesn't matter the age. It doesn't matter the experience or lack of scholarship or walk-on. We're going to design practices that make sure that every single person on our roster have the opportunity to go compete and us to coach them to get in a position to play winning football. So practice, we're going to we'll have two fields going on at the same time. We'll two spotter practices. There's going to be plenty of reps to go around. I think, the thing that you've got to do in order to get in a position to play winning football is you've got to play ball. And there's lifting and running and speed development and all those things. But we've got to be great teachers. We've got to be great coaches. But we also have to make sure that our guys get enough reps to get into position. By the end of spring practice, we know exactly what we have with the group that we've got. We've got to know how aggressive we're going to go be in the next portal window. And then the guys that we bring in for June, how important it is to get them all caught up to speed so that we're ready to effectively be better in August than we were when our spring game happened. So our guys understand that in the assistant coaches' chairs. We understand what we're tasked with, and we know exactly what we signed up for. We're excited about our future and how it's going to look.
Well, I certainly know there's plenty of Boilermaker fans that are really excited about what you're going to do in leading Purdue football. Thanks a lot, Bear. Best of luck to you.
Thanks, guys. Have a great week.